I clearly remember one moment, sitting in my small apartment, staring at my bank account. I had cut out every luxury in my life. No dining out, no Netflix subscriptions, no vacations. But when I checked my balance, it felt like nothing had changed. It was incredibly frustrating. Wasn't saving supposed to lead to something better? I did everything that everyone told me to do: friends, books, every financial guru online, cut back on expenses, skip the coffee, cook at home, cancel subscriptions. So I tried. I eliminated everything I could. No takeout, no vacations, no fun. But after months of sacrifice, I looked at my bank account, and it barely moved. The money I saved seemed to get swallowed up by random expenses or, worse, inflation. It felt like I was working hard just to stay in the same place. That's when it hit me. I wasn't broke because I wasn't saving enough. I was broke because I was focusing on the wrong thing. What truly made the difference wasn't extreme saving. It was something else. Something smarter. In this video, I'll show you exactly what I did instead, and why saving less, yes, less, was the key to building real wealth.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn.
The problem.
The problem with the advice to just save more is that it sounds simple, but it completely falls apart in real life. Each year, the cost of living rises. Groceries, rent, transportation, everything seems to get more expensive. Meanwhile, most people's incomes stay the same or increase so slowly that they can't keep up. What this means is, even if you're saving diligently, you're still just trying to outrun a moving target. And that's exhausting. In my case, I followed every piece of advice from the so-called financial experts. I cut unnecessary expenses. I skipped the daily coffee. I cooked at home. I even tracked every penny in a spreadsheet. But no matter how disciplined I was, it always felt like I couldn't get ahead. Inflation quietly chipped away at my progress, and unexpected costs kept cropping up. I wasn't spending recklessly, I was simply surviving. And that survival mode started to feel like a full-time job. What hit me hardest, though, was the mental fatigue. Saying no all the time, not just to luxuries, but to life itself. I turned down invitations, delayed purchases I genuinely needed, and carried a constant, quiet sense of guilt every time I spent anything. At one point, I realized I was obsessing over tiny savings, only to watch larger financial issues pop up and wipe them out. I wasn't building freedom. I was building a cage. That's when it finally clicked. Saving is important, yes, but if it's your only strategy, you're not playing offense. You're just trying not to lose. And that's not how wealth is built.
The breakthrough moment.
Everything changed the moment I stopped asking, how can I save more? And started asking, how can I earn more? I remember sitting at my desk one night, feeling utterly frustrated. I had just finished reviewing my budget for the 10th time that month, desperately searching for anything else I could cut. But there was nothing left. I had already streamlined my expenses as much as possible. That's when it hit me. I had optimized everything within my income, but I hadn't done anything to grow beyond it. So I decided to learn. I didn't have thousands to invest, but I had time, energy, and internet access. That became my seed capital. I threw myself into books, free courses, podcasts, anything that could help me understand how money actually works. And as I consumed more information, a pattern began to emerge. The people who built real wealth weren't just better at saving, they were better at earning. They had leverage. They developed skills that paid well. They invested early and often. They built systems to create wealth over time. That realization completely shifted my mindset. I stopped obsessing over squeezing out a few extra dollars and started focusing on building value. I took online courses in my spare time to upskill. I learned how to freelance on the side. I offered services that people were already paying for, and slowly, my income began to grow. Then came investing. It wasn't some grand leap. It was a series of small, consistent steps. I started with what I had. A little in index funds. a little in a side hustle. I stopped waiting for the perfect moment, because I realized the perfect moment was now, armed with the knowledge I had gained. And the most surprising part? As my income grew, saving became easier, not because I was trying harder, but because there was more to save. And I didn't feel deprived anymore. I didn't have to say no to everything. I could finally breathe. That was my breakthrough. True financial freedom doesn't come from extreme frugality. It comes from combining smart saving with intentional earning and long-term investing. Saving protects you, but it's growth that propels you forward.
The strategy.
Once I realized that saving alone wouldn't get me anywhere, I knew it was time to build a new strategy. One focused not just on surviving, but on growing. Step 1. I learned a skill I could monetize. I wasn't looking for the perfect passion. I looked for something practical, something that people were already paying for, and that I could learn online without breaking the bank. Eventually, I chose content creation and language translation, two skills that aligned with what I already enjoyed. I immersed myself in tutorials, joined free online communities, asked questions, and practiced daily. Sometimes I stayed up late just to test new tools or improve my editing. I made mistakes, but every mistake taught me something useful. I didn't wait until I was an expert. I just started. And that made all the difference. Step 2. I began freelancing. At first, I offered my service for almost nothing, just to get real-world experience. I volunteered in online forums, applied on freelance sites, and even reached out to small creators who needed help. My first gig paid very little, maybe just enough for a meal. But it gave me something far more valuable: confidence. That first project became my portfolio. One client turned into another, and slowly, I realized something powerful. Once you have a skill people need, you control your income. You're no longer at the mercy of one paycheck or one boss. You can work with clients across the world, and the value you provide becomes the real currency, not the hours you clock in. Step 3. I started investing, even with tiny amounts. I remember putting in just a few dollars into my first investment. It felt small, but it felt serious. It was no longer just about saving. I was finally putting my money to work. I chose simple, low-risk investments like index funds and money market accounts. I didn't try to time the market or follow hype. I focused on building the habit, not chasing returns. Every time I got paid, I put a small percentage aside, automatically. It wasn't much, but over time, those small contributions became a foundation. Step 4. I stopped saving just for emergencies, and started saving for opportunities. Yes, I built a safety net. But I also created a growth fund, money specifically set aside to improve my tools, buy a better mic, take a premium course, or test a new idea. I stopped thinking of money as something to hold on to, and started seeing it as a tool. The faster I reinvested into myself, the faster my income and skills grew. Even a small investment, like upgrading my laptop, made a big difference in my productivity and the quality of my work. It's not about spending recklessly, it's about spending intentionally.
The results and takeaways.
After shifting my mindset from saving hard to thinking smart, the results were nothing short of transformative. I wasn't just saving more, I was growing more. My finances didn't just stabilize, they began to flourish. The change was subtle at first, but as time went on, it became undeniable. Building wealth isn't about denying yourself everything, it's about creating opportunities for yourself. By focusing on earning, investing, and reinvesting my knowledge and resources, I stopped merely surviving and started thriving. I still live frugally, but now, it's not about denying my potential. It's about making intentional, strategic choices that put me in a position to grow, both financially and personally. I've learned that true wealth isn't measured by how much you save, but by how much you're able to grow and leverage. And wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom, the freedom to make choices, the freedom to invest in opportunities, and the freedom to continue learning and improving. The journey from just saving to thinking smart gave me that freedom, and it can do the same for you. Key takeaways. It's not about saving harder, it's about thinking smarter. Live frugally, but never at the expense of your potential. Prioritize growth, whether that's through earning, investing, or learning. True wealth comes from creating opportunities, not limiting them. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences or strategies for building wealth in the comments below. What's worked for you, and what challenges have you faced along the way? Also, be sure to check out my next video. It's part of a bigger conversation on taking control of your finances and building real wealth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.